Hey, AP Economics students. Wanted to go over a topic here contrasting the Phillips curve with the ADAS model and what happens in both situations of recession and inflation, and within those both situations if you intervene in the economy to fix it versus you just let it run its course. So we have four scenarios here, and I want to just look at those and clear up any misunderstandings. So on the top situation here, we have two recessions. So you can clearly see we're in the cold side of the economy. These are identical. So we're in the cold side of the economy, and we want to get back to full employment and get back on the LROS. Now, right next to this, you can see that is the Phillips curve. So as you remember, Phillips is horizontally opposite but vertically the same. So if we are on the cold side here of the ADAS model, we are going to have to be on the cold side of Phillips, which is horizontally opposite. Okay? Now, if they would have been on the other side, remember here's the hot side of the ADAS model. So the hot side for Phillips is going to be on this side, horizontally opposite but vertically the same. And so what we're going to do is intervene in both of these. Down here is inflation. We'll deal with that in a little bit. Okay? So you want to see right here, we have a cold economy, it's in a recession, and we have a problem. So let's go here on the left side and let's intervene in the economy and let's fix this problem. So if you're into intervening in the economy more, you're going to be more Keynesian, a little bit more left, but you could also be addressing this with monetary or fiscal policy. So Keynes is a fiscal policy issue. But whether or not you're going to intervene in the economy is the point. If you'd like to intervene in the economy, you're going to be affecting either consumption, by lowering taxes. You're going to be affecting government spending by increasing it. Through monetary policy, you're going to be lowering interest rates to stimulate investment, but you're going to be affecting aggregate demand every single time you decide to intervene, because your goal is to close this recessionary gap. So what you want to do is get people working. This unemployment is a problem. You don't want to have some socialist revolution. So we move this over, and we call that AD prime, and the gap is closed. It was by fixing aggregate demand, and now we are back to normal, and there is B. Now, showing the corresponding move on the Phillips curve. Well, the rule is if aggregate demand shifts in the ADAS model, then you just stay on the short-run Phillips curve. And remember, if it's horizontally opposite but vertically the same, we're going to have to go up and to the left, because this went up and to the right. And you just stay on the curve. This is very easy. There it is. So when I fix recessionary gaps with anything with moving the aggregate demand curve, fiscal or monetary policy, that's going to just leave me on the curve here because AD is shifting and I stay on the curve. Okay? Now, it's a different thing when we go over here. Now, sometimes the questions, they'll frequently say, you're in a recession and we do nothing. Show what's going to happen. Well, this is a more Austrian classical Hayek approach where it's just like, just let the economy go through its cycle. In the long run, we're going to be fine. So, it's just leave it. And what's going to happen is eventually, as we're over here, price level will keep decreasing, resource prices will keep decreasing, wages will keep decreasing, inflation will be low, and eventually the business spending, is going to increase, but we're going to increase our ability to supply more, and there'll be a huge increase in supply of goods, but it's going to wait until the price level gets low enough. So the do nothing is to just wait, and then what's going to happen is we are going to have an increase in supply. So that's going to move our SROS back over. There's SROS prime, and now here is point B. And what happened? Now we're back to full employment, but we are there at a lower price level and lower inflation. Whereas over here, we're back to full employment at a higher price level and higher inflation. And these are the two opposing philosophies. But we're back to full employment in both cases. Well, on this one, because they always like to coincide Phillips land with the ADS model, if you do nothing, your SROS is going to shift, but in Phillips land, that shifts the SRPC. You don't just stay on the SRPC. So horizontally opposite, I have to get over this way. I have to get back to the long run curve, but I have to go down. Well, the only way I can get from over here and down, which I'm going to say right there, the only way I can get there is by actually shifting the curve. And so if I shift that over here and bring it through, there would be my shift, and this would be my new short-run Phillips curve, SRPC prime. Okay? So the contrast you want to make is shifting AD, stay on the curve. Shifting SROS, shifting SRPC. Okay? Now let's drop down here. Basically the same deal, except we're in inflation. So you can see our equilibrium point here is on the hot side. We have a hot economy, and over here, same thing. Hot economy. And so now we're going to say we got to cool this thing off. We better cool off this economy or our price level is going to get out of control. We have low unemployment, which is great, but we might trigger some inflation and this could get out of control. So let's cool this off. So the interventionist is going to say, let's decrease government spending. Let's increase some taxes. The monetary policy will say, let's raise interest rates and get this thing back to normal. In all of those cases, once again, you're affecting the aggregate demand. And if you want to decrease those things to close this gap, we are shifting aggregate demand backwards, and we are going to be here at AD prime. And we now are back to here. Cooled things off, and inflation's dropped a little bit, and price levels dropped a little bit, but we're back to full employment, and we're out of that inflationary bubble. Okay? Now, we stayed on the curve. Or sorry, we moved AD, which is going to keep us on the curve in Phillips land, and so we have to get horizontally opposite. So I went left, I got to go right, but I went vertically the same. I got to get down, and I just stay on the curve. It's pretty easy. Okay? Now, what happens over in classical economy, or classical approach, or the Austrian school? It's going to be, yep, we're in a hot economy, just leave it alone. It'll all work out. And so what's going to happen? In this hot economy, well, eventually what it's going to do is prices are going to get high enough, and the price level and inflation, eventually suppliers are going to say, wow, this is really, their resource prices are getting out of control, and we're going to have to cut this back here. And we're going to cool off this inflation. We don't like this inflationary situation here, and so suppliers say this is not a good environment to be expanding, so they're going to decrease supply and pull that back. And we have a little bit higher price level, and they're hoping things will cool off there too. But we went horizontally opposite, or sorry, we went to the left here, so I'm going to have to go to the right here, and we went up just a little bit, and we're going to have to go up. Well, what's the only way I can get over and up here to point B? Once again, that's going to be shifting the curve, because when you shift the SROS, that's going to shift the SRPC. And this is where that would have moved. SRPC prime. So sometimes it gets confusing. When are you shifting the short run curve versus when you're staying on it, and you just want to keep the rule easy. You shift AD, stay on the curve. You shift SROS, and you're going to shift SRPC. And it doesn't matter which one you're coming from here, okay? Now obviously we could have done an example with we were in equilibrium and had some catalyst that moved us into one of these things, but then after you're in either the inflationary or the recessionary, then usually is the follow-up question of this. You fixed it with this, or you fixed it with this, and what happens in Phillips land. Okay? So just a little thing to clarify some stuff as you're preparing for the AP exam. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.